4th of July. My Keebler tree in Delft.
Right now?
Yeah. I don't know, maybe I had that iris on the wrong setting or something.
It wasn't on automatic, it was on...
That's maybe what was the problem.
It was off in the automatic setting. I put it on automatic.
This is our 4th of July flag for the Liberty celebration that we flew over the Raven in New York City. All my little goodies that I made. Let's see if we can get a better picture out of this whole thing. A little better color, hopefully. That might be better. Even my bird feeder's decorated. How about that? My little blue flowers in there. Oh, it looks much better. Decorations, even the doily thing on the door.
Gets carried away with things like that.
See, now you're patriotic. Here's the red, the white, tree like that.
Oh, you didn't know. I fly on my broomstick.
Are you broomstick? You get up there? Look out, she went over you.
Forgot to put it on focus. Automatic again. can see how big it is.
Yeah. We're done for an hour or so.
I'm sitting right in the middle.
That's all right. We're gonna sit in the shade anyway, or you're gonna get cooked.
It worked there, huh?
Oh, yeah, that was gonna work early, but I
Yes, we leave Sunday for the birthday.
didn't work the full day.
Oh, he's got a fan. He loves the fan.
I want your finger in my mouth.
As I said, I didn't set the brakes on that. Watch out, Benny. He's going to get you Benjamin Elliott.
He's hanging on to that.
Oh, wait. Yeah, he hasn't quite mastered the shear. That's bigger than my friend. Oh, is he? 8.5 months. Oh yeah, he's a good size boy. He's probably a good food.
He was a good-sized boy when she was home about a week in the hospital. He came over.
Well, you gotta remember, he was 8'9", born a month early, so just take that into consideration. That you know he was gonna be No.
Isn't that something? They know enough to go back to the same area. Benjamin, why do you have your plug in your mouth?
Being antisocial.
Yeah.
From my friend. Now he's gonna, that's what he's trying to do. It's like, see what I got and you don't. Ben, you don't need that thing.
Look at, he's looking for it.
Have a drink. Have a drink. That's not what I
He
wanted.
said, I don't want to suck on that. I want
One track. I mean, it's going to stay that way until he gets what he wants.
Have a drink. Probably for forever.
Grandmother over there.
When I get home, I will send her messages.
Yeah, I know.
He's solid all the way from top to bottom. Yeah, no question there.
Back off.
I was going to take the ferry, but then the ferry wasn't. But the people in and around the pool.
Get all wet.
Come on, dear.
Oh, shut this gate.
Okay. Look at that.
What are you doing?
Look at him go.
What are you doing? Good.
Oh, I got to get one of those.
I'm sorry, I didn't fast.
Maybe I should take this off.
No, it's all right. Leave it.
Okay.
Really? Are you scared?
Yeah.
Mom.
Hey, Benjamin.
Yeah, you can. It won't hurt anything. There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
That's why I have short hair.
Where do you want to go?
That's right.
Yeah. Right here, huh?
Yeah.
First thing we'll run is a dog pound.
First thing to do is find somebody to teach you that you don't know.
Yeah, that's it. That's true.
Who's gonna go get the fancy?
No, don't throw it because I don't die.
Douglas, are you scared of the water?
No. It's afraid he might melt.
It's too cold? Then why don't you go to your alley?
Deep in this one end or the other end or
No,
whatever?
I think it's the same depth all the way through.
Come on.
Keep kicking.
Just walk towards me. I'm not going to drown. Come here. Come here. You can hold on to me. Come here.
Come on. I'm not going to drown you or nothing. Come on. Come on. Trust me. Come on.
Oh, good. Big help.
Yeah, you just
Now you gotta get in it though.
No. Mommy.
Come on, get in the center.
Mom. Watch.
Sit in it.
Climb back up.
Mommy, watch me.
Just let her turn around.
Get her in.
We're not-
I know.
That's the cotton.
Come on.
Come on back. You'll enjoy it more. You'll
Come
get
on.
more cool.
Here, put your feet up. Go by yourself. No. Okay. Come on. Hold on to the tool. I'm not trying to drown you. Come on.
You didn't get that idea. Kick your feet.
Come on. Hold on to it. Lean on the tool. Put your feet up.
See that?
Like this. Put your feet up.
Kick your feet.
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
Here, kick your feet. Stick your feet out and kick them.
Can you raise this is simple?
Kick them. Hard. Kick. I'm not doing anything. Kick your feet.
It makes, when she kicks, it makes the wind.
Yeah. Keep kicking.
Oh, that pink and pink. Yeah, peppermint something, I think.
Having a fight, I got
She lays back like that, she's okay, but if she tries to sit up, she sinks more.
Hey, Barbara, that's prima donna.
Yeah, really.
and she's going good. I said she's purring like a kitten.
That's really what, 7.55 an hour. If it was more humid, I would be in there. Yeah, always.
Can you stand up? Just barely, huh?
I can't go to water.
You're going to be a Viney forever and ever. Viney forever.
Just careful. It's drowning in this pool. It's not allowed.
You're gonna kick
You guys are brave.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick him on my
Yeah.
Splash herself.
But you kick right now. Right?
There, we can turn her around.
There, that's good. That's good.
That's that doll.
You like that old pool, don't you? She is a riot. She likes to swim in a pool, huh? Buddy, you like the water? You do. You sound like a motor trying to start up. Oh, she's watching the boy.
One of these days, I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be
Yeah, someday she'll be doing
I'm going to be swimming across the pool. I'm going to be swimming across the pool. Are you floating too? There's just a couple of floaters.
Look at the two little cheeks.
Yeah. Cutest little teeth. Yes, you have. You got the Susie, you're right. You're right. You're right. Keep the sunglasses on, Kevin.
Let me have her.
Easy does it. Easy does it. Easy,
Cram the camera there, Grandma.
Oh, I betcha.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta get you in the shade. That old sun is shining right in your eyes. Huh? The sun's shining right in your eyes. Huh? What's the matter? You sticking right out the bottom here? You scoot you up a little bit? Is that what you want to do? You that better? Is that better? Yeah, there she goes, kicking her feet. There she goes, kicking her feet. No kicker. Yeah. There she goes. There she goes. Get the marble out of here.
Especially the marbles in there. It's supposed to have a split in it, that's how they sink. They'll sink after a while. Right. Here.
What?
You like bones, Benjamin? Hey, pass it off to that dog, you'll know.
Hot dogs in the trash. Look at this guy. Come with a bone, man. Like a caveman.
Bradley.
Caveman didn't have big birth. He could be related to you.
Yeah,
right. With both hands. That's it. He's not fooling.
I swear to God, it's had me almost charcoal.
You the man with the...
Isn't that funny? Hey, underneath their eyelids start to get red.
Yeah.
So they're tired.
Yeah, they do. I rub his eyes.
Yeah, and
You're
rub a
tired,
little barbecue sauce in them. That'll help them get red too.
Brian, give the dog a break.
So I can't smile because I got my big key in my mouth.
Hey, what are you doing? Give me that. Give me that.
Oh, yes, I did.
How blonde he is, huh? Thought we'd get one redhead out of the group there. He started out like as though he was going to be a little bit red, but he's fading to a blondie. You got the bluest eyes I ever saw, though. Yes, you got the prettiest blue eyes, yes you do. Look at those pretty blue eyes. Look at those pretty blue eyes.
Lisa. Come on, say hi to Drew.
Say hi. Hi, Benjamin. Hi. 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 Hi, old fresh guy. Peekaboo. You play peek?
Yes,
Peekaboo. Peekaboo.
Because, I mean, you know, there's enough for us.
Cage, guy.
Yeah. This?
And there's that.
There. Now what?
Ben thought they were real good. So when he poops up Fort Stearns, I don't know if he blame.
You going walking? You gonna go walking around? You gonna go walking around?
That's how the bill does. I'm sorry, I thought you were teasing me when you said that. Like the one that you just gave me when I just went down with my elbow.
You want to pass me that blueberry pie?
No.
Is that the one with the smile face on top? Oh, poor sad little face.
What's that sad little face?
Tired?
What's that sad little face, Kellyanne?
Kind of early.
Daddy. Hello, sweetness. Hello, lovey. Oh, yeah, I got a smile now that I'm on the camera. Yes. Yes, sir. Got a smile for the camera. Oh, boy. Chow is down.
You want one, Danny? Danny, do you want one? Daniel, where are you going? It's not, huh? Too busy. Too busy. Too many things. Okay, just thought I'd offer him one. What you got? You got a hot dog. You got a baby-sized hot dog.
Munchy, munchy, munch.
You want one, Danny? You want Lisa to give you one?
Danny came over, reached down. These ain't no fun at all.
Nikki's gonna have a little botch again.
No, he's eating the whole thing of yogurt, so this is just a topping of something else. Well, he already had lunch. I mean, snack time. Oh boy, that sounds wet.
Fortunate.
Yeah, the deck looks pretty clean now. Towards the end of the day, maybe we'll...
Well, it got washed off good last night and yesterday, I guess.
Sit down, okay.
That wasn't so heavy.
Hey, Mom.
Yeah.
I like this deck with this stuff.
Glasses? Hey, Ben, you look like the king. Danny,
Careful.
Danny.
Listen, he was so funny this morning in church.
Jason is busy little bee.
Hi, Birdie.
Hello, Birdie.
You got a ball? You gonna go put it back in the box?
Oh, Kelly, you don't smile. Don't cry when the camera's on.
Back in the box.
You don't cry when the camera's on, lovey. Smile, that's what you gotta do.
Oh, careful. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. That's it. Go on up here. Dano, what are you doing way back there? This little dog. What's that little dog doing?
Wow. It's empty now, but I think may have a little action this afternoon. Nothing is sacred. Guy can't even take a leak around here. That's a good one.
Hi, Ro. Nice to meet you. Looking forward to it. What are you doing? Wow, this is really
And this is Sue Bradley.
How you doing?
I love you.
Haven't seen you in about a year.
Oh, good to see you. This is Raul.
Hi, nice to meet you. Little kid holding
And Billy Bradley. That's Raul.
And that's Benjamin up top.
Put this thing down.
That sounds like a smile.
You're looking good.
My cousin Ann. My cousin Ann.
How are you? Good. How are you?
Quite a while.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
See you too. How you doing?
How are you? Good to see you. Like old times?
I have to
Where are we going?
I won't tell if you won't tell.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Pumpkin, didn't she do
That's my Dan the Man.
Climb the stairs, buddy. Come on up.
How you doing, John?
Good. How you
How
doing?
are you? Oh, get in the picture.
No, I didn't want to block the thing. What's going on?
Here's another Ben.
We're here somewhere, Mom, that I could stick a few sodas in.
Yeah, check and see what Dad did with ours. That may be it there for that matter. Just ask Dad where ours is.
Okay.
Good boy. Wow, what a good thrower. Get it right in the nose.
I said by the end of the day, Bill got stamps on her back.
That's what people say. Hey, Dom.
Hey, good. How are you?
Joe, where's your beer?
Throw it over the top. Throw it over the top. Come on. You can reach it. Throw it over the top. Oh, got him. Okay.
You must have come in the other side when I was saying hi to Jay. How are you?
Good. Thanks. How about you? Yeah, I know everybody.
Yeah, I saw you because I was hoping Jay would be stuck in the car there. I turned around and then all of a sudden you were on this side. You want this side?
I should have stayed by her. Right. I thought about it when I was about
Yeah. That's a good word.
Splash of water on a hot grill.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
I said we got a whole generation coming up again.
Yeah.
Barbara said she was counting and
Anyway, he's
in
going
between.
up, right? Yeah. But you've got plenty of little ones. Yeah, plenty of little ones, I'd say, from us. Two down, and you got quite a few from two down.
Roll and get the other cooler up here and we sit.
He says, oh, I would love to do it.
Hey, what's the matter?
Here, Bamba.
About what I figured.
Have you been there lately?
No, but we're going to be out there for a week with Lorraine and Maria and Nick.
Yeah, I know.
That's the only. That's
Chef's
the,
at work.
That's the plus, I guess. Yeah, take a couple of pictures here.
Yeah.
The grill folks are at work.
Shish kebabs, wow. Pretty neat. Smile for the birdie chefs. They're not listening.
Hamburger people want to get down here, is that what it is?
Well, you know, holding up the wheels of progress, George.
My wife was going to bring about 8 pounds of stuff, I apologize. I thought you just going to bring it to me.
You can go this way too, right? Yep.
No, that's only for coming out.
Smart Alex.
After I have my second stop.
I lied.
Fanny?
I got a chart that shows the whole thing, but it gets confusing.
Say hi. Blow
I mean,
kiss.
it's laid out very well,
Can you blow a kiss?
but still,
Danny, blow a kiss
it can
to
make you
Granny.
crazy looking at it long
Blow
enough.
kiss.
Whoa, what a nice
That's how it
kiss.
works.
Just the color I
Wow, what a nice
So you and I
kiss.
are first.
We didn't
Huh?
buy almost all these
bye-bye?
little tykes are my first cousins.
Peekaboo.
You and I
Peekaboo.
are cousins. First cousins. Because
Peekaboo.
your mother and my mother.
Whoops.
Okay.
Shake all the bed bugs out.
However, Danny
Yeah.
is a first cousin. One.
Has he got some sun goop on?
Well, not yet, but I don't know. Did you put sunblock on?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay.
As soon as we got here.
Hey.
And when he comes out, I'll put some on.
Yeah. Hey, Benjamin. Ben. Ben. Benjamin. Benjamin. Benjamin! Hey! Hey, Ben!
What you doing? Come here, buddy. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here.
I can remember when I could blow one of these up almost in one breath.
Welcome to the club.
Hi there. Hi.
How's the water anyway? Almost. Actually, this one looks a lot better than the original one Janine has for Kelly.
Oh, yeah?
Because it's got 2 loops, and that one's only got just the one.
Silly kid. Silly kid. Who's it?
Okay, lady, give up the camera. Get a picture of baby.
Don't get too far away from him, honey. Ben, Phil, he's been on the flip of that thing.
I'm just saying what everybody's thinking, Bill. I verbalized it. That is nice. You're not a very dedicated low enough to the water.
Well, I don't want to make
As a matter of fact, you should be standing in the water.
Should we throw him in, Ma?
I'm going to be standing in the water.
Yeah, you're going to be
Speaking of being in the
thrashing
water.
in the water.
With my shoes.
Yeah, at least.
Well, we're going to have stuff to take back. They don't wind up at your house at one time in the future. You ever think that's a...
I wouldn't mind it at all.
More the merrier.
We would handle it as
Have
the
a
same
bunch of
goes.
them. My
Yeah, the
goodness.
old family tree branched out this year.
Yeah.
I think it's branched quite enough.
Mom could give him
You know, we have overpopulation problem. Ecologically speaking. Makes me sick. Really, there's not a plate of... Look how it came out.
Gotta get motivated at your house.
I couldn't begin. After leaving here, I just... Yeah. The landscape came out so picture perfect.
Well, they rototilled the whole thing.
I know. Well, the more you put down, the more you pick up, I guess. I can't rototill because I have a lot. This it's lovely. It goes beyond it. It's son of lovely.
What's that?
Not lovely, it's son of Vinny looked at Brancefort's house. He said, Jesus, he's either a contractor or a goddamn mafooch. Yeah,
Better say that quietly.
that's what I said, both.
Four bags.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did you swim with Dad? Did you swim with baby?
Close the pool.
Forgot something. Well, here. Go see Mommy.
Hi, buddy.
Will I blow
It's
this up?
got a slight leak in it, Janine said, but...
You're drowning yourself, kid.
Now something, look, it's still pretty cool in here, huh?
John?
Yesterday, you knocked the stuff out.
Hey there.
Whoops!
Why the hell did I put this stupid ass check valve in
You
there?
gotta bite it with your teeth when you're blowing in.
Yeah, you like to be a little shy.
Where's Uncle Bob?
Come on over here.
Right by Uncle Bob. Fastest way to keep him out of the water is have
Bring
Uncle
your
Bob
suit,
in the
Patrick.
water.
Yeah, I'm wearing it. Hop in.
A little bit at a time might have been nice. It's a little cool.
Where we going? Where we going? Hey, 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 hey.
got you. It's so easy.
Yeah, how you doing? Oh, it's cold, huh, dear? Look at where is your first time together?
Hey, look at Kelly's floating around having a good time.
Come on, Aaron.
Well, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay.
Somebody's flashing you, huh? There's somebody.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, isn't she right?
My mama raised me to be a pool skimmer.
Your mother didn't do that. Your mother didn't have a pool. You were lucky to have a bathtub, kid. A wading pool in the front yard for the high school kids to watch you while you skinny dipped at 7 a.m.
Hi! Look at mommy up there. Yeah, that's a fake cry if I ever heard one.
Is the water warm? How's the water, Denise?
It's a little cool, 77.
Good.
Bobby said that it was warmer yesterday before it rained. Or it was warmer Friday before it rained yesterday.
Yeah, it's not so bad. You're not having fun yet.
He doesn't have a Budweiser, that's right.
I would love to take her to swimming lessons. So many programs around here. Especially in Malibu. Like, we go to Pepperdine University every day. There's tons of programs. There's a beautiful pool and a beautiful view down there.
Here goes Sarah for a swim.
I drive by it all the way.
I underrate them. I like elevators.
Oh, and then another.
But he loves Daddy over there, huh? Isn't it amazing? She adores her father. She absolutely adores her father. It's amazing to see. I mean, even when she was tiny, he'd walk in the room and she'd be like beaming. You know, and he'd, oh, my daddy's here, you know.
She finally did it.
Finally, it takes him a while.
Yeah. The way you do it, she just walked over.
He's wonderful with her.
Jump right in.
I wasn't ready. See, we're lucky we've got these guys.
You're really, I can't complain.
I like this. The guys all have babies.
Ready for swim, right?
The way it should be. Want to come out? You want to come out of that?
It's any consolation. It warms up after about the first 15 minutes or so.
Really? They don't
And you have these guys that are like, yeah, they wife swapping out the babies. It's like, yeah, okay, well, I'll go off to work and take care of y'all, but, you know, it's just the guy's loss.
He's too fast.
Right. It's the man's loss if he's not involved. I mean, sure, it's nice to have his help, too, but...
Mr. Block.
Casey, put him in there nice. Put him in there nice.
Candidate on your other side.
You made that, Joni?
Hi, Eddie.
Delicious. You should try one. Talk about melting your mouth.
Get that ball.
I don't.
Laura. Oh!
Did she sell it?
I assume she sold it.
I think it's like 2-1 us. 2-1 sounds good. Your favorite sounds right. 2 serving 1.
Oh, that's way out.
Real short. That's where that last.
Oh my God.
Casey, crime photographer, keeping tabs on what's going on, processes and things here. We do what we have to do.
I mean, she's not like Barbara. She doesn't go down in October.
How do you know how I think? You don't know how I think.
Like coffee at the end?
Hey, Danny! Danny!
Yeah, well, you're always ready.
Hey, Danny! Danny! Hey, Danny!
What?
That's a quality.
I got these telescopes. Over
It's gonna head right back to the ball game. It looks like fun, Dad.
Middle. Of everybody.
You have your clothes. You want me to give that to Kelly? She wants it. Now what? Now what? Oh no, Kelly, put it to the Big Birdie show. It's really
This is the white flag of truce. No, what you stop it.
well. Look,
She's running it again. Keep saying evil things.
Get over here. Get over here.
Don't.
Well, now I think I'm a little hungry.
I think so. Isn't it fun?
Oh, wow, what'd you get? Yum, yum, yum. Oh, crumbs in Daddy's hair. How nice.
Drop them crumbs right in Dad's hair.
What you eating, Danielle?
Hit that ball, Willie. Hit that ball, baby.
Oh, no one cut the cake yet. How did you drink them a few times?
The bride cut the cake.
Oh, yeah.
Here, show us the pinky, please.
Oh, God, yes. We'll come right in on the pinky. Thank you very much. Yes, okay. Unfair advantage.
I'm cutting this family tree right down the middle.
Oh God, I hope that doesn't have any omen to it.
You think that's symbolic?
No, we're dissecting it. Actually, all we're doing is trying to get a piece of cake out of that whole thing.
She said you did it so you could get the chocolate frosting on the knife.
Was I right?
Sure she did. She licked it right off.
There goes the coffee.
You know what happens when you get me near chocolate. All holes barred.
Not a chocolate I was going to say, if you're not, there are enough of us.
Hey! Come back! Come back!
We're everywhere. We're everywhere.
In those chocolate night watching the
So are you on vacation now?
Mike, thanks again.
Drive.
Okay, catch and I'll catch. Boom!
What you got?
Where's the ball? Get the ball. Bingo! Get in. Hi. Hi. Back to work tomorrow, huh, Throw it, hurry up, throw it. Woo, woo.
No, we didn't come over here to eat.
Oh, gotcha.
Fully figured that out.
Woo.
Says you play with this.
Go play with it. Yeah, oh, look at this. Ooh, what's this? Oh boy, oh boy. Look at that. Woo. Got all kinds of stuff. Ooh. Look at that. What else did it do? Oh, the chicken, look at this. The door's open. Oh my goodness. These open up, look at that. Ooh, look at. Everything moves on this thing, huh?
Apparently, yeah.
Oh, you're not doing it. Don't get it. Here, up. Don't get it.
Nah, just you're not the player in the playee there.
Yeah. Yeah, everything's going, everything's moving. God. Come lay down.
He's climbing up on his truck again out there. What kind?
What? I love you. Where's the fan? Where's the fan? Mommy said stay down from the chair. Come on. No.
What are you doing?
Don't touch.
What are you doing?
Don't touch. Give me a hug. Give me a hug. Get your hand out of my mouth. Give me a hug. No, nice baby. Oh. Where's Uncle Pete? Uncle Pete coming home? Where's Uncle Pete? Where is he? Where's Uncle Pete? Oh, all gone. Uncle Pete's all gone. No light. No playing with switches. No playing with switches. That's the fan. That's the fan. Yeah, that's the fan. Boy, he's tired out.
Look at the footstool.
What are you doing? You're gonna fall down. Look at it, show off. Dance. You're gonna fall down. You're gonna fall. Go boom.
I've never had to fill this stuff out for when I'm at it now.
Somebody's got 3 dogs over there on the cove. This is looking out towards Chappaquiddick from the main road towards Oak Bluffs on Martha's Vineyard. It's playing on the wall. Yeah.
Gingerbread.
What a cute little place, huh?
This is a place
Isn't
where
that
Frank
cute?
is going to have to keep us away from.
The secret
That's
garden.
a wonderful place. It's just got gifts and stuff. I got one of my wicker chairs there. They have wicker upstairs.
Oh, really?
And all kinds of.
That's cute. Her birthday.
Yeah, that's
Got any
right.
bright ideas?
Her birthday's in Auckland.
Oh, I think we probably will. Place like this.
Wow, they are so pretty.
That's pretty. The pink and white fence. This is the church, and that's the tabernacle across the way.
Color. See on the side of the house?
It's all soil acidity and minerals.
This is Pleasant Street, Bob. Kids from coming down Dayton Road when
Yeah.
one of these houses that I looked at.
Oh, really? You mean, they left out what's in here?
I don't know, they didn't ask. I love the gingerbread.
Yeah.
I bet Jay did a number with his camera in here.
Oh, he sure did. I saw a bunch of the pictures that he took. Yeah.
Yeah, well, down, just down out of sight from here. Doesn't look like there's anybody staying there at the moment.
I can't handle living around that. Wherever.
I don't care.
However, depends on how warm you're getting. My place really towards this sort of thing. Blue house. Big blue. Where do you see the butterfly?
Right there on the upper purple house, lavender house. Yeah, on the deck there. The ones on the bottom are cut out of the solid, and then the upper ones are the other way around. Those are pretty.
Those kind of butterflies.
Yeah. I thought you were seeing them.
Pink and gray.
That bar is just
This looks like my wrist.
This is Edgartown.
I know. My plans for next week are. You know how I told you like my main interest is podcast?
Hello, little butterfly. That's John. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get it without the reflection in the glass.
Get in it. Get in it. Oops. Hold on, hold on. Nikki! Wow! A great toy. Don't pop it. Don't bite it. Hold on.
Shark soup. His fin is sticking out in the back now. It's an appropriate thing. They always tag their big catch with a big ball that floats so they can come back and get it later. What you doing? Huh? What you doing, Blue Eyes?
Put the wrong end.
Open it.
What you got? Mickey.
The wrapping's always much more.
Nice story, huh? Who's hiding? What's that flower? Who's hiding? There's a kitty.
What's in the way? That one's in the way. I gotta see my squidward.
Yeah. Lots of flowers.
What you doing?
Oh, goody, that's a nice one. Oh, that's so nice. He loves the squiggly worm, but got such pretty colors.
It's
Nice.
a finger puppet. You know, you put your finger in the hole in the back, and then you do the worm business in the story.
What a great book.
They have some of the cutest storybooks for little ones now, and I thought, gee, that would be really cute.
He really likes books, too.
Does he?
Yeah. He's always...
Danny isn't too keen on just sitting and looking pictures yet, you know. But Ben, Elise has been reading to Ben since she brought him home from the hospital, I think, you know. Storybook every night before he tucks in, and so he's much more apt to sit still and at least look at one.
I gotta see how this works. Is it mechanical, Mom? He says, what is that? Is that a real worm? Is that a real worm? Who's hiding? No, I'm not supposed to take it in this precious. Oh, so cool. Little black dog. A duck puzzle. A puzzle, Mickey.
It's from Uncle Frank. He made it on his saw.
Oh, yeah? He made it. Isn't that wonderful? That makes it extra special. He says, I can put this together, I know it. It don't look like a duck from here.
Let me see now. Is it good?
Tastes like a duck, don't look like a duck.
That's good to eat. Peking duck.
So it don't taste like a duck.
Wow. See, Mickey. See.
Show him that like you did with that cap for his bottle last night. Didn't take him too long to figure that one out.
Squiggly wiggly boy. I know it's yours. Nah. Squiggly Wiggly was a fuzzy fellow. He lived in an elderberry bush with his sister Fluffy and his brother Squirmy. I know about Squirmy.
Squirmy wormy. Squirmy wormy wiggly.
We know about Squirmy. Don't we, huh? Your mom knows about Squirmy too. What do you think you're doing here? What beautiful presents. Okay, what is this present business all about? Yes, let's give Rosita a little dress-up item here.
With a pacifier in the other.
Yeah, right. These are like rubbery things. Just teeth all around.
Nice and bouncy.
Captain Blythe or Mr. Christian. Stop it.
Your money there, kid. You qualify as a senior. You're on Social Security.
But like Jeannie says, I don't think it is.
I've gone wrong beside the camera. I'm on a 14 crew member. And if I can't answer them in the tradition of a true sailor, I will lie. So please feel free. Well, this particular vessel was built back in 1960 for the 1962 movie Mutiny on the Bounty with Marlon Brando and Trevor Howard. It was built specifically for the movie. Back in the 60s, they couldn't find a ship that fit the bill for the picture, so they decided the next best thing was to make your own ship. Well, this they did in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, in Canada, which is one of the very last places you can find anywhere that still has the knowledge and the skills to build a ship of this nature. They found the original plans back in Greenwich, England, from the Bounty, and so this ship, what you see here now, was built from the original plans that the Bounty was. And so what you see on deck is what you would have seen 200 years ago, except for the fact that this is 1/3 bigger than the original Bounty. And the reason being is because Hollywood, there's your answer right there. They just wanted a bit of a grander approach to the whole section. But it took 9 months to build, 7 months to build the outer structure and hull and everything here, another 2 months to build 150,000 back in 1960. Today, it would be roughly about $6 million to build the same ship. And it's owned and operated by Turner Broadcasting out of Atlanta, Georgia, and under an operating cost every year of about $1.5 million or so. So it's quite an operational project that they have going on here. Well, since the movie, it's been in quite a few other movies as well. Some of the more recent ones, we did one last year in Jamaica with Charlton Heston, a remake of Treasure Island. We also did one a short time ago called Yellowbeard, which was a Monty Python movie. And there have been others in the works since then as well. Well, now what we do with it, we take it on tours, as you see here. We're in New England this year. Last year it was the West Coast. Next year I believe it's supposed to be Europe. And we take the boat to different areas and show it off and brag about it. And we do a lot of maintenance when we're not bragging about our ship. This being an entirely wooden ship, of course, needs a lot of work. And when we're not doing that, we're usually filming movies. This is one of the very last period ships that will actually sail from the 18th century. It's in high demand for quite a few different movies, so quite a bit as well. Well, this area that you're standing in here right now is called the quarterdeck. Now the quarterdeck is where the officers on the ship were to be found. Captain Bligh would be back here along with his helmsman steering the ship. Any other needed officers would be on deck as well. And the rest of the crew is all confined to the forward part of the ship. And they couldn't come past this railing right here called the fife rail, where all these lines are coming down in the middle. They could only come back here under a special permission. So come back here to the wheel, the helm. This is a very famous wheel in its own right. This was built back in the 20s by MGM for a lot of the movies they had back then. It's been in about a dozen movies or so. Some of those you might remember would be Wake of the Red Witch with John Wayne, the original 1935 version with Charles Laughton, Meeting on the Bounty. Of course, our version in 1962, Marlon Brando, Trevor Noah, as well as quite a few others. It still serves the same purpose today that it did 200 years ago. There's line wrapped around here 13 times, a very traditional number, that runs back to a series of lines and blocks, back down to the rudder, to the mast. And we do steal their ship from back here today. A lot of times during high seas, you'll need at least two people on the helm, because it gets pretty gnarly out there. It's kind of nasty. This is called the binnacle. The binnacle is the ship's navigation center. In here you would find the compass. You would find a lantern you see by night. You see a little smokestack there. You would find Captain Bligh's important papers like his charts and his maps and things of that nature in here. And all that kind of stuff. Well, we still use it today, but we modify a little bit for our own navigation needs. We don't exactly use the stars anymore, so we have all kinds of neat toys and stuff. Along the sides here, you see it's painted red. Now, these are called the gunwales. And the gunwales were painted red for a very specific reason. Because back in those days, the thinking was that during times of bloodshed, siege, blood was on the deck, it would blend right into the color of the paint. And this way, the men wouldn't be as fearful at the sight of their own blood. They would continue to fight for the ship and to try. On either side of you, there's the cannons, part of the armament. The full name of the ship is His Majesty's Armed Vessel Bounty. There was 4 cannons on board back then. We just have 2 right now. The same size. These are called 4-pounder cannons. 4-pounders because the cannonballs are about 4 pounds apiece. And very fortunately for the Bounty crew, they never had to use these because they were just brought on board to deal with hostile natives that might be coming at them in canoes. Well, this thing could probably put a pretty good hole in a canoe, but if it came to another ship of this size, it would just bounce right out the hull. And I don't think they'd be in a lot of trouble because the other crew would be laughing so hard they couldn't return fire anyhow. But they also had 10 of these swivel guns here. Swivel guns were anti-personnel guns, this thing you see in the rail there, and they would shoot out like a shotgun-sized wad called a grape shot, and that would spray the oncoming, and then reload it and get ready to fire again. I think the Bounty's gunner on board, his name was Churchill, and I think he was the only one that really knew how to fire. So the rest of the Bounty crew was lucky if they could do it at all. They're very fortunate they didn't run into any nasty circumstances. Well, this thing I've got right here is called a capstan. The capstan, the capstan was used kind of like a winch. If you're coming into port and it's very windy, you have to lower them so there's not a lot of wind resistance up there, and it keep you off the dock. And also depending upon the direction of the sails, or the direction of the wind and the direction you're sailing and things like that, they would have to be lowered and raised. Very heavy, so this would be used. It would be turned in a clockwise motion by members of the crew. There would be lines running around the capstan here through blocks up and there, and then raise and lower it. It was also used to bring the ship closer to the dock. Very lethargic, very hard ship to handle. So instead of crashing into the dock, they would wind it up with the capstan, and then you have lines running through the portals. Clockwise motion. Now the ship did weigh about 450 plus tons, so it was quite a job indeed to bring that thing back. This pump is this thing right here, a very important piece of equipment back in those days. It gets rid of all the excess water on a ship, and this being a wooden vessel would take on its fair share of water through leaks and things of that nature. So 4 men would come in the morning and they would pump this until it was dry. There's a big tank underneath called the bilge tank while the water accumulates. And they would pump this until it was dry. During high seas and storms, this was a constant job to make sure the ship can take on too much water. And it's very important that they keep this going. Fortunately today we do have our own electric bilge pump, so they might have to pay us just a little bit more money. And but they used this back then. The water would come off these spigots here and run out through the holes down there. Well, we're talking about the rigging here now. See these things right here? These are called belaying pins, and they usually come out if there's not a line on them. The belaying pins, they hold the lines that come down here, they hold them in place, they keep tension on them, they keep them off the deck. Does anybody know where the belaying pin got its name from? Well, we're going to figure this out on ourselves because they laying on the floor for quite a while. I'm trying. Well, mizzen mast, that's actually a smokestack. Since we do have 2 diesel engines on board, we kind of cheat sometimes. So they have a smokestack, and they use this to conceal it during the movies, so they couldn't tell that they were actually under power. But the rest of the mainmast and the foremast are big, solid pieces of timber. The Bounty was constructed with 400,000 board feet of timber, and this is the largest single piece, 63 feet from the top of the platform up there down to the keel, and it's one solid piece of British Columbian fir. It's very traditional back in those days when you're stepping it or placing it that you put a silver dollar beneath the mast, and that was considered a sign of good luck. And we do have a silver dollar beneath our mast, although I question if the Bounty did originally because they didn't exactly have the best luck in the world, so that might be one of the reasons. If you want to head up this way, this is called the standing rigging. These are the backstays, and this is the shroud. Now the standing rigging is attached directly to the mast, and it offers support. All of this framework and the masting up here needs support, and it gets it through to the standing rigging. Now it's supported down to these channels down here by these 2 things. These wooden pieces are called dead eyes, or unwooden pieces, and the ropes attaching to those are called the lanyards. And this is how you would tighten or loosen the shrouds depending upon the amount of tension that you need. Also here on the shrouds is how the sailors would climb aloft. These things here are called ratlins, these ladder steps, and they're called ratlins because the sailors often look like rats as they're climbing up there to do their work. And it became a very, very dangerous job up here, especially during high seas, of course. You have to always climb on the windward side, the side the wind's pushing in. So if you fall in here instead of out this way. And very dangerous job, especially when they were around in Cape Horn. It was real windy, which was a big problem. But second of all, it was very, very cold. A lot of ice and snow that would accumulate up here, and they would have to climb up here daily to pound off the ice and snow. because it would become too top heavy, the mast might crack off, or the ship would just simply turn over. And a lot of times they lost fingers and toes because of the cold weather, but it's better lose a finger and toe than the ship and eventually your life. So they did it oftentimes without regard for themselves. The saying goes, iron men, wooden ships. And they were quite the men back in those days. We're a little bit wimpier today, but we're afforded that. These other lines that are standing or hanging around all over here are called running rigging. This is the running rigging. Now these have a lot of different purposes. Some of them attached to sails up here. Some of them attached to the yards you see up here, and they will balance them and they will angle them in certain directions. You look up above you here and it looks kind of confusing. You see the lines going every direction, each way. But actually, it's quite an easy process when you get down to it to figure out which goes where, what the name of each line is, and what the purpose is for. And it was up to every crew member to memorize each point of this, what it was called, where it went, and what it was used for. And it really became quite easy after a while, especially when you're hanking these things up day and night, depending upon the weather. So these are called the running rigging. Some of the names would be the clews, the buntlines, the sheets, the halyards, the lifts. It goes on and on and on, and they all have their different purposes. Well, this is the anchor cable. They didn't have chain back in those days. They had the cable, and this is called a hawser. Now, you see, it's real heavy, and fills up full of water, it becomes twice as heavy. There was 300 yards of this attached to each of the two anchors. There's one port and starboard right up on the bow there. Well, one's over the side, the other one's hanging up over there. They weigh about 900 pounds apiece. And you might see back in the movies where the captain says, "Weigh anchor," and they rip up the anchor. 30 seconds later, they're out of there. They're history. Well, it wasn't quite that easy back in those days. They would need something like this called the windlass. And a couple sailors would come by on the windlass and pull down on this thing. This would slowly wind the anchor cable up. Wind up here to go down to a big locker down below here. And that's how they would store it. Well, it took two guys about 4 hours or so to bring up each of the anchors. So it wasn't quite as quick as they make it seem like in the movies. Unfortunately, today we also have our own electric windlass, or they would have to pay us even more money. But we get up to the bell here. This is how they kept time on the ship back in those days. They didn't have watches or clocks or chronometers. They would have an hourglass here. They would turn over on half an hour to determine the approximate time. And then to tell the men when their watches were beginning and ending, the watches were when they would actually work, they would ring the bell. At 12 o'clock, they ring it 8 times. At 12:30, they would ring it once. At 1 o'clock, twice, so forth, etc., until they got around again. It was based on this system because they were on a 4-hour watch system. Captain Bligh was pretty good about this. The men only had to work for 4 hours at a time, and then they would have 8 hours to themselves. Pretty fair system back in those days. But this is what the bell was used for. If you want to come up around the bow, a lot of times the dolphins will be down here playing in the bow of the ship as it's sailing along. And as she's crashing up and down the waves, the dolphin striker would come down and occasionally strike a dolphin or pick them off in the water. Well, actually, I don't think this really ever happened. And if it did, of course, it wasn't on purpose. Ooh. Oh, come on. Give me the benefit here. Anyhow, next we come up to the figurehead.
Sounds like one of yours.
The figurehead was a very important thing on the boat because it brought luck to the vessel, especially if it was a woman. Well, if you had a woman on board the ship, that was bad luck. But if she was out here where the sailor could keep an eye on her, then it was okay. It was also considered good luck if she didn't have a lot of clothes on. But as you can see, our figurehead is dressed up for a fox hunt, so maybe that's one of the other reasons the Bounty didn't have a heck of a lot of luck. We're not quite sure what her name is. We think it's Lady Bethia. The Bethia is the original name of the Bounty before they changed it, and that could be her name. The islanders on Tahiti oftentimes used to accuse Captain Bligh and say that that was his wife, so we're not exactly sure what her name is, but nonetheless she performed a very important purpose on the boat. Well, if at this point you want to follow me down, I'll take you down to the galley.
Figurehead and that sort of things.
All we're getting is her.
What? Down here they just have their
Vineyard, yeah.
cameras. see down here is very much what it looked like 200 years ago, except for the fact that the ceilings would have only been 5 feet 4 inches high. This is just for our convenience sake. I was very typical of a height of a sailor back then, about 5'7" or so, and I still would have had some tough times down here getting around. Very cramped quarters. There was no light coming down here. There was no stairway, just a ladder. The hatch was covered. The only light we have down below is a lantern here and a lantern in the midsection. They couldn't afford fire hazards, so it's very, very dark down here. So it's very cramped. There's not a lot of light down here. This area that you're all standing in right now is called the forecastle or the forecastle. And 36 men slept and ate down here for 2 years, right in this area. And so you can see how cramped it is to be all right now. Just to think about sleeping with that many people for a period of time. Well, we also had to contend with the smells that were down here. Not a real sweet smelling place at that. Down below, they kept all the food. Now the food, you provision a ship for 6 months to over a year, it's going to start to smell after a while. So you got all the smell of rotten food that comes up through the hole. You've got the smell of animals, livestock here. They kept animals right here adjacent to the men to feed the officers. You would have some goats, some sheep, some pigs, some chickens here, and they smell like that. They live right next to the men. They had fresh milk from the goats. They had fresh eggs from chickens, occasionally some pork, bacon from pigs. While the men were quite select, they might go over here and they pull out their disgusting. So they would actually end up carving or sculpting it. That's the difference in navigation. So what I should really tell you about it is actually sailing in Tahiti. He came back and he told King George III, he said, "Hey King, I heard about this great plant that grows in Tahiti. It's called a breadfruit. You can see it right up on the wall there. Well, this breadfruit plant fed the whole island. It was very nutritious, and it kept everybody going." And the king thinks to himself, what a great idea. If I can get this plant from Tahiti to Jamaica, all of my food problems are solved. Free food for the island, I won't have to worry about it anymore. So he's thinking to himself, I'm pretty smart. Well, it's a great plan in theory, but what actually happened is a little bit different. He hired a vessel after some looking called the Bethia. The Bethia was a coal merchant ship that was sailing up and down the waterways of England. Very small ship. It wasn't meant for the ocean, but it was the best he could do at the time. He commissioned it. He changed the name to the Bounty because it was on a bounty to find this breadfruit plant. He hired a man named William Bligh, who wasn't even a captain. He was just a lieutenant, but he had sailed with Captain Cook to Tahiti, so he figured this guy pretty much knows the way to Tahiti. Well, they sailed here from Spithead, England, 23rd of December, 1787. It took them a month to get out of the harbor because there was such a horrible storm going on at the time. They blew out all their aft windows. A lot of the supplies were thrown overboard, including the men's alcohol supply, which was already a bad omen. They had to stop here in the Canary Islands and refit, resupply. They were 2 months late getting down to South America and Cape Horn. Well, King George III also wanted them to circumnavigate the globe on this voyage. To do that, they had to go around Cape Horn in South America. It was also only 5,000 miles to Tahiti this way versus 15,000 miles if you went the other way. So they're going to try the short way first. Well, they're 2 months late getting down here. They get down here at the worst possible time of the year. This is absolutely the worst place to be anywhere in the world if you're sailing a ship, especially the time that they're down here. Captain Bligh battled 60-foot seas for 30 days, and he only made 85 miles. 60-foot seas was over half the size of the original Bounty, and so you can picture a building coming in, as the size of a wave. Well, he somehow managed to survive for this amount of time. He eventually had to turn around. He insisted that his ballast be the ship's coal and wood, which was also used to heat the stove. Well, it was real cold down here, and to keep the men from freezing to death, he had to burn more and more and more, and the ship became less stable. He had eventually turned back around, stopped in the Cape of Good Hope in Van Diemen's Land in Australia, made it to Tahiti 10 months later. The crew's really wiped out, and they need some big-time R&R. They get to Tahiti, and they think, wow. I got to tell you something about these men now. The men, well, they were kind of prisoners. They were found in taverns. Let's say they weren't respected back in England, and pretty much the dirtballs and scumbags that you'd find back in the street in England. Well, they got back to this island on Tahiti, and this is something totally new for them. They're thinking, this is something else. The women there were absolutely beautiful, unlike anything they had ever seen before. And the English men with their white skin were considered very beautiful, even if they had ugly features, because they had this pale skin. They were considered very lovely. And it was also a common practice on the island that for a friendly gesture, lovemaking was very common. And this was just a sign of your friendliness. So for these guys, I mean, they had behavior. And they partied down on this island for 6 months. They had to stay that long because the breadfruit plant was in a dormant stage and they couldn't transport it. Also, they had to wait for the fair trade winds to come along to take them to Jamaica. Well, they're partying down, having a good time for 6 months. A lot of them fell in love on the island with women. Fletcher Christian himself, who was the first mate, fell in love and found out the woman he was with was pregnant with his child. Well, it comes around 24 days after they had to finally leave Tahiti. Now, the men are real upset about leaving Tahiti. They don't want to go back to England. You know, what's bad for them at home? So 24 days after they leave the island of Tahiti, they're out in the middle of the ocean, and the men are kind of restless at this point. And they're like, we really don't want to be here. Captain Bligh is in a real bad mood this particular day. Now, the old story goes that Captain Bligh was a real bad guy, that he was very ruthless, that he had all kinds of cruel and heinous crimes to his crew, and treated them very harsh. It's not true. Captain Bligh was a very fair captain, in fact, one of the fairest of his day. And he was actually one of the greatest navigators ever to sail the seas. Well, Captain Bligh, this one particular evening, was in a bad mood. He accused some of the men of stealing 6 of his personal coconut supplies. God forbid, steal 6 of my personal coconut supplies. Well, the crew took a lot of offense to this. You know, they're already on the edge. Fletcher Christian takes a lot of offense to this and says, I've had it. I'm going to take a boat by myself, put it over the side, go back to Tahiti on my own. Well, there's a guy on board the ship named Edward Young. He overheard Fletcher saying this, and he came up to Fletcher and he said, hey, Fletcher, look, you don't want to go back to Tahiti on your own. Half the ship here is sick and tired of this, Captain Bligh stuff, and we don't want to go back to England. There's nothing for us there. We like Tahiti. Let's go back. Well, he keeps thinking. He goes, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Next morning, 4:30 a.m. on Fletcher Christian's watch, they take Captain Bligh from his cabin. Only 12 mutineers, and there was over 46 men on board the ship. Well, they had muskets and sabers. They brought him up on deck. They put him over the side of the ship in a 23-foot-long boat with 18 other men. A lot more wanted to go, but they couldn't fit in the boat, so they were promised to be let off later in another island. Over the side of the ship, only 5 days' worth of provisions. They had some cutlasses for protection, a sextant, a compass, some personal supplies of Captain Bligh's, and his logbook. That was it. There was only 7 inches of freeboard between the waterline and the top of the boat, and they were expected to make it back to England. Well, they made it, and how they did remains to be one of the greatest seafaring navigational stories in the history of the sea, and it was all due to Captain Bligh. Well, you probably have to go back to this. There was actually
This is Oak Bluffs from the end of the dock.
That's cosmetic style.
Might be cool out there.
Tava pra bem, hein? Là, n'acheter deux.
Going to turn around.
Tell me what.
Danny, show Grammy. Where's your karate?
Show Grammy how to do karate.
Where's karate? Show Grammy. No, show Grammy. Where's Grammy? Over here. Show Grammy. Where's karate?
Show Grammy how to do karate.
Where's karate? Where's karate?
There, Mary.
You're an old person. Light, yes, there's a light. That's a light.
Danny, where's your karate? Where's the karate? Show Grammy. No, go back and show Grammy. Show Grammy. Go show her. Where's the karate?
How to do karate, Tanny?
Dano, what?
Dano.
What's the matter, Kelly?
Okay, Danny, do karate.
Do karate.
Okay.
Do karate. Do karate.
What did you do with that Denver developmental test?
Okay. You can handle that.
Dano, show Uncle Bob karate.
Here, so.
How do you already karate?
You taking the rolls, Bill? You taking the rolls? No. Daddy had to bring that right over here, huh? Yep.
I got the fork. It's like a Chinese fire drill. Okay, Bob, let's pack up our car.
Our car is all set. All we gotta do is throw this.
You want to grab the salad?
The salad bowl.
Here,
Kelly.
we're out of here.
Smile, folks. You're
For our candid camera.
Yeah, one day.
You gotta get rid of that little red light because now we're not gonna do it.
He's dealing with serious
You want to ring your bells? Hold them up and ring your bells.
They put all the forms up and everything. And then you realize the engineer marked it up.
You like that?
apparently.
I guess I'll have to get him some gems for Christmas.
Yeah.
You like that, buddy?
I mean, we really pressured him a lot for his mark, you know, it should have been in his
Aren't those pretty? Yeah.
Oh, wow. What a smiling
It's like
little
going to
girl.
Florida in the wintertime.
What a smiling little mama.
There's a lot to be said for that.
Hey, a flying girl.
Hi, sweetie.
Here comes a flying girl.
We learned a lot. It was funny. Somebody was asking me today at work, geez, you gonna take some vacation to go? Vacation in the summertime? I said, nah.
Mama?
You want the chimes,
I
huh?
take my vacation in the wintertime when I'm damn sick of the cold weather and go out down to Florida.
Look at Dan.
Oh, she said, must be nice to have all that money. I said, no, I don't have any money.
Is that good? Huh? Looks good on you. Eat up. See, Grandpa's gonna have lunch too. You eat your lunch. Hey, sit still. You'll fall overboard. Never mind. Dancing? You dancing? Never mind the books. No. You dancing? Put that back on the shelf, please. Dan? No. No.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I'll say we do. This talks so good. Listen. Come quick. You'll make him imagine. Okay, we'll be right over. Oh, boy, a customer. A customer. A customer? We're from the Apex Ghost Exterminator.